Welcome to Fireside Whodunits. I'm Alistair Gray. Settle in, let the kettle sing, and allow the hush of a 1920s blizzard to wrap around you like a cashmere shawl. Tonight we begin a tale of locked doors, vanished revolvers, and a manor cut off from the world by snow deeper than secrets. Hercule Poirot, those impeccable little gray cells, steps into the storm. Chapter 1. Introduction and Setup. The year is 1926, and London wears its December dusk like a threadbare velvet cloak. At Claridge's, in the hushed amber glow of the foyer, Hercule Poirot sits alone at his customary corner table. A single green chartreuse rests before him, luminous as a cat's eye in the lamplight. He is, as ever, a study in precision. The patent leather shoes mirror-polished to reflect the chandeliers, the winged collar starched to knife-edge perfection, the famous mustache waxed into twin arcs of symmetrical magnificence. Yet beneath the immaculate exterior, a faint restlessness stirs. The criminals of the metropolis have grown predictable. Burglars who leave calling cards, forgers who misspell their own aliases. Poirot craves a puzzle worthy of his little gray cells. A liveried page glides across the marble like a chess piece. Monsieur Poirot, urgent telegram. Poirot accepts the silver salver with a nod. The envelope is heavy creamstock, typed in capital letters that bite the page. He slits it open with a silver fruit knife, unfolds the single sheet and reads. Poirot's mustache twitches once, twice, like the whiskers of a cat scenting cream. Impossible? He murmurs in French, soft as silk. Mon ami, you have spoken the word that opens every door. He summons the sommelier, settles his account with a crisp 5-pound note, and rises. The page boys watch in awe as the little Belgian detective crosses the foyer, cane tapping a measured rhythm. Outside, Brook Street is a river of black taxis and fur-coated pedestrians hurrying through sleet. Poirot's Daimler waits at the curb, engine purring. He gives the chauffeur a single instruction. King's Cross. The night mail to York. The journey north is a symphony of steel and steam. Poirot reclines in a first-class compartment, the blinds half drawn against the night. He does not sleep. Instead, he lays out his small leather notebook on the folding table and begins to write in his neat, continental hand. He underlines impossible 3 times, then closes the book with a snap. The train hurtles through the black countryside, past villages where lights flicker like dying stars. At York, a motor car awaits. Inspector Mallory's doing, no doubt. The driver is a taciturn Yorkshireman in a sheepskin coat, his breath pluming in the frigid air. Roads are closing fast, sir. Blizzards coming in from the North Sea. Hold tight. They leave the city behind. The moors rise like a dark sea. Heather buried beneath drifts. The car skids on black ice. The driver wrestles the wheel with muttered oaths. Poirot grips his cane unperturbed. At last, headlights sweep across iron gates flanked by stone griffins wearing crowns of snow. The drive winds upward through skeletal oaks. The house looms ahead, a Gothic leviathan of turrets and chimneys, windows glowing like watchful eyes. Snow has already erased the gravel. The world beyond the gates has ceased to exist. The car crunches to a halt beneath a porte cochere where icicles hang like stalactites. The great oak door swings inward before the driver can knock. A tall, gaunt butler stands framed in the light, his face the color of old parchment. Grimshaw, sir, the master is dead. Everyone is waiting. His voice is a dry rustle as though his throat is lined with dust. Poirot steps into the entrance hall. A fire roars in a hearth the size of a small cavern, yet the air remains tomb-cold. The ceiling soars 3 stories high, painted with frescoes of hunting scenes, stags brought down by arrows, hounds frozen mid-leap. A grandfather clock ticks with the solemnity of a judge. 6 people turn to stare as Poirot removes his gloves finger by finger. Let me paint their portraits slowly so you may study them as Poirot does. Sir Reginald Snow, 55, baronet, heir to the manor. Broad-shouldered, florid, dressed in +4s and a mustard waistcoat despite the storm. His handshake is too hearty, his eyes bloodshot from whiskey or worry. He booms a welcome that echoes off the rafters yet never quite reaches sincerity. Lady Eleanor Snow, his wife, 42. Once a celebrated beauty of the London season, now her cheekbones cut like blades beneath a mask of powder. She wears black velvet, though no one has died yet. Her voice is low, amused, as though the world is a private joke she no longer finds funny. Captain Hugo Vale, 33, late of the Royal Flying Corps. Lady Eleanor's cousin, houseguest for a month. A scar runs from his left ear to the corner of his mouth. His smile never quite fits the rest of his face. He stands with the easy slouch of a man who has stared death down from 10,000 feet. Miss Daphne Vale, 25, Hugo's younger sister. Golden curls frame a heart-shaped face. Her eyes are wide, cornflower blue, perpetually on the verge of tears. Her fingers worry a lace handkerchief to threads, leaving tiny flecks of cambric on the turkey rug. Dr. Felix Lang, 48, the family physician. Stooped, spectacles perpetually sliding down a beaked nose, voice soft as falling ash. He has treated the Snows for 20 years. His black bag is never far from his side. Miss Sylvia Crane, 28, Lady Eleanor's secretary. Neat as a pin, hair in a severe bun, eyes that catalog every detail like a librarian inventorying sins. She clutches a leather-bound appointments book as though it were a shield. And finally, Inspector James Mallory of Scotland Yard, already installed by the fire, rubbing chilblains and looking grateful for Poirot's arrival. He is a tall, lantern-jawed man with the patient air of one who has seen too many country house murders. Sir Reginald claps Poirot on the shoulder, too hard as though testing the little detective's mettle. "Damn glad you're here, Monsieur Poirot. My father, Lord Archibald Snow, came down from London yesterday for the reading of some new codicil. Locked himself in the study at 11 last night to work on it. Said he'd ring when he wanted coffee. The bell never rang." He gestures toward a corridor lined with ancestral portraits, powdered wigs, ruffs, eyes that follow you like a bad conscience. Poirot inclines his head. "Lead the way, Sir Reginald. Let us examine this impossibility. But first tea." They repair to the long gallery, a cavernous room where tapestries of unicorns fade into shadow. A samovar hisses on a sideboard. Grimshaw pours with the solemnity of a priest. Conversation is brittle as thin ice. Outside, the blizzard begins in earnest. Wind rattles the leaded panes like a mad tambourist. Snow lashes the glass in horizontal sheets, erasing the moor, the gates, the world. Poirot sips his tea, Darjeeling, 2 sugars, a slice of lemon, and observes. Lady Eleanor's rings flash as she lifts her cup. 1 stone is missing from her emerald cluster. Captain Vale lights a cigarette with a gold lighter engraved HV. From E. Daphne's handkerchief is monogrammed DV in faded silk. Dr. Lang's spectacles reflect the firelight, hiding his eyes. Sylvia Crane's appointments book lies open. Poirot glimpses a page headed Codicil, 10 p.m. Sir Reginald drains his whiskey in 1 gulp. "My father was 78, stubborn as a mule. The codicil was to cut me down to 50,000. 50, after a lifetime of waiting. He wanted to leave the bulk to some blasted charity, and to her." He jerks his chin toward Daphne, who flinches as though struck. Lady Eleanor laughs, a sound like breaking crystal. "Reginald, darling, your father was entitled to his whims, though I confess I could have used the money. Monte Carlo was unforgiving this season." Inspector Mallory clears his throat. The study door was bolted from the inside, key still in the lock, windows barred, chimney too narrow for a cat. Lord Archibald, shot through the temple. No gun, no footprints in the snow beneath the window. We broke the door at 6:45 a.m., rigor just setting in. Poirot sets down his cup with a delicate clink. Then the crime occurred between 11 last night and, let us say, 2 in the morning. The storm would mask sound. The isolation is convenient, he rises. Show me the study, at once. The corridor is a tunnel of oak paneling and flickering gas jets. Portraits glare down. A snow admiral who lost a fleet. A snow bishop who burned heretics. The study door is heavy oak, scarred where the jemmy was applied. A brass key protrudes from the lock on the inside. Poirot pauses on the threshold, inhaling. Cordite, whiskey. Something metallic. He steps inside. The room is large, paneled in dark walnut, books climbing to the ceiling like ivy. A single tall window, iron bars set into stone, snow drifted halfway up the glass. A fire smolders in the grate, sullen red. In the center, a mahogany desk. Behind it, slumped in a high-backed leather chair, is Lord Archibald Snow. 78 skeletal velvet smoking jacket, blood-soaked at the temple. A neat bullet hole. Powder burns. His right hand rests on the blotter, fingers curled as though clutching an invisible pen. No revolver. Poirot circles the body like a fastidious vulture. He notes the open desk drawer, ammunition box, 5 cartridges missing. A crystal decanter half empty. One glass with a faint smudge, the color of crushed blackberries. A single sheet of cream notepaper beneath the dead man's left hand. He examines the bolt, thrown from the inside. The window bars, rusted, immovable. The chimney, 9 inches square. Inspector Mallory shifts from foot to foot. We've searched every inch, Monsieur Poirot. The gun's vanished. Poirot's eyes glitter like frost on a blade. Then it has not left the room, mon inspecteur. It is here, somewhere. He turns to the assembled household. No one will leave Snow Hall. The snow has made us an island. And on this island, mesdames et messieurs, the truth will surface, like a body in a frozen lake. Outside, the blizzard howls louder, as though the moor itself is hungry for secrets. Poirot requests the study remain sealed until morning. In his guest room, tapestries of stag hunts, a 4-poster that smells of cedar and candle smoke. He lays out his notebook once more. Chapter 2, The Crime Discovered. Dawn creeps through the stained glass lancet above the grand staircase, painting the corridor in bruised reds and corpse-pale greens. At precisely 7:15 a.m., Grimshaw's knock on Poirot's door is the measured rap of a metronome. "The master wishes you in the study, sir. Immediately." Poirot rises without haste. Charcoal suit, green tie, spats buckled like armor. He descends the staircase where the household already clusters like crows around a fresh kill. Sir Reginald's face is the color of wet ash. Lady Eleanor's black velvet has acquired a mourning brooch overnight. Captain Vale lights a cigarette with fingers that tremble only slightly. Daphne Vale clutches her brother's arm as though the floor might tilt. Dr. Lang polishes his spectacles on a handkerchief that smells of ether. Sylvia Crane stands apart, appointments book pressed to her chest like a hymnal. Inspector Mallory brings up the rear, boots leaving slush on the parquet. Sir Reginald's voice cracks. "My father locked himself in at 11, said he'd ring for coffee when the codicil was signed. The bell never rang. At 6:45, Grimshaw fetched me. We broke the door. The study corridor smells of beeswax and old money. The oak door stands ajar, brass key still in the lock on the inside. Fresh splinter scars gape where the jemmy bit. Poirot pauses on the threshold, inhaling. Cordite, whiskey, the faint sweetness of crushed blackberries. Inside, the room is a dark womb of walnut and leather. A single green banker's lamp pools light on the desk. Behind it, Lord Archibald Snow, 78, skeletal velvet smoking jacket now a shroud, slumps in the high-backed chair. A neat 38 hole pierces his right temple. Powder burns tattoo the skin like charcoal lace. His right hand rests on the blotter, fingers curled as though clutching a pen that was never there. No revolver. Poirot circles, silent as a priest. He examines the door. Yale lock, bolt thrown from the inside, key unmoved. Window. Iron bars rusted into stone, snow drifted halfway up the glass outside. No disturbance beneath. Chimney. 9 inches square, soot thick as velvet. Inspector Mallory clears his throat. Time of death between 11:30 p.m. and 1 a.m. Dr. Lang's estimate. Rigor incipient. Stomach contents. Whiskey. No food since dinner. We've searched every inch. No weapon. Poirot's eyes glitter. Then the weapon has not left the room. It is here. Somewhere. The household is herded to the library. Leather spines smell of mildew and secrets. Poirot sits at the head of the long table, notebook open, fountain pen poised like a scalpel. No one admits hearing a shot. The study walls are oak and stone. The blizzard screamed like a banshee. Poirot leans forward. Describe the revolver, Sir Reginald. Webley 38. Army issue. Father kept it in the gunroom, loaded. I checked yesterday, still there at tea time. Poirot makes a note. He orders the study sealed anew, wax impressed with Mallory's signet. Snow now lies 4 feet deep. The bridge to the village is a white void. Telephone lines down since 10 p.m. They are marooned. In the hall, Poirot pauses beneath a portrait of Lord Archibald in his prime. Hawk nose, eyes like winter steel. He murmurs to Mallory, "The murderer counted on the storm." But they did not count on Hercule Poirot. Chapter 3. Investigation begins. Poirot claims the morning room as his citadel, small fire crackling, green baize card table, note cards arranged like soldiers. Inspector Mallory stands ready with shorthand notebook. The suspects are summoned one by one. The house holds its breath. Sir Reginald and Lady Eleanor. Joint interview. Poirot seats them opposite, firelight carving shadows across their faces. Reginald pours whiskey, though it is barely 9. My father planned to cut me to 50,000. 50. The codicil was to favor charities and Daphne Vale. His voice cracks like splitting wood. Lady Eleanor's laugh is brittle. Reginald forgets I have debts. 12,000 lost at Monte Carlo. The old man refused another check. They swear they were together in the drawing room until 2 wireless crooning jazz. Poirot notes. Reginald's glass trembles. Eleanor's missing emerald leaves a pale circle on her finger. Captain Hugo Vale. He enters with the loose-limbed grace of a pilot, scar livid in the firelight. 10 years ago, Lord Archibald ruined his father in a mining swindle. The man put a shotgun in his mouth. Hugo needs capital for his aviation firm. I passed the study at 11:15, heard typing, went to the billiard room, played alone until 1. No witness. Poirot observes. Left-handed, gold lighter engraved HV. From E. A faint scent of machine oil clings to his cuffs. Miss Daphne Vale and Dr. Lang. Joint interview. Daphne's eyes are red-rimmed. Dr. Lang hovers like a protective crow. Lord Archibald was her secret grandfather. The codicil would legitimize her, grant 200,000. She claims hysteria at midnight. Lang administered sedative, stayed until 12:45. Poirot spots. Her handkerchief stained blackberry dark at the corner. A single golden hair curls on her lapel like a question mark. Miss Sylvia Crane. Last to enter, appointments book clutched like armor. She typed the codicil at 10 p.m., overheard Lord Archibald dictate, "To my granddaughter, Daphne." Left the study at 10:45, retired. Poirot asks about the ribbon. Her gaze flickers. He notes, ink on her right index finger, fresh. Poirot dismisses them, then returns to the study alone. He reconstructs the scene with Mallory as reluctant corpse. That evening, Poirot gathers the household in the long gallery. Portraits glare down like jurors. He demonstrates, yet the revolver is gone. Poirot orders every fireplace banked high. Tonight we melt the snow, tomorrow perhaps the truth. Dinner is a silent wake. Outside, the blizzard howls louder, as though the moor itself resents intrusion. Poirot retires early, but sleep is a stranger. In his room, he lays out 6 fresh note cards. He underlines Hugo, left-handed, and Daphne, hair in green ink. At midnight, he slips downstairs. The study door is still sealed, yet he kneels, eye to keyhole. A faint draft whispers through. From where? He smiles, the cat who tastes cream. The impossible is merely unexplained. Chapter 4. Clues and Red Herrings. The blizzard rages for 3 unbroken days. Coal scuttles clatter, the manor steams like a hothouse. Poirot paces the long gallery, Cane tapping a slow waltz. He has turned the house into a laboratory. Red Herring 1. The Frozen Blood Lollipop. On the second morning, a maid shrieks outside the study. On a silver tray lies a crimson icicle, thick as a finger, tapering to a lethal point. Dr. Lang proclaims it could pierce a skull and melt inside, leaving a bullet wound. Poirot tests. The blood is port wine mixed with red currant jelly, left by the cook for mulled wine. False. Red Herring 2. The Mirror Reflection. Captain Vale discovers a wall mirror in the study angled toward the corridor keyhole. He swears he saw Lord Archibald alive at 11:45 via the reflection while passing for a late cigar. Poirot adjusts the mirror. It shows only the opposite wall, unless a lamp is placed precisely on the billiard table. Hugo's own lighter matches the required height. Planted. Clue 1. The burned typewriter ribbon. Found in Daphne's bedroom grate, charred but legible. Fragments reveal the codicil and a second page. A suicide note in Lord Archibald's hand, forged. Ink matches Sylvia's fountain pen. Clue 2. The cracked gramophone record. In the billiard room, Yes, We Have No Bananas bears a hairline fracture. Hugo claims he played it nightly. Poirot times the crack with a stopwatch. It lands at 11:27 p.m., a perfect mask for a muffled shot. Red Herring 3. The Bribed Maid. A housemaid swears she saw Lady Eleanor on the back stairs at 11:40, black velvet swirling. Later retracts, weeping. I dreamed it, sir. Poirot finds a crisp 5-pound note in her apron, Reginald's watermark. Poirot experiments in the gunroom. He wraps a .38 in velvet soaked in soft soap, fires into a sandbag. The report is a dull thud, swallowed by gramophone brass. Possible. On the third night, the wind drops. Moonlight spills across the moor like spilled milk. Poirot orders every guest to the study at midnight. The room is lit by a single green lamp. A tailor's dummy wears Lord Archibald's smoking jacket. Poirot speaks softly. Tonight we reenact the impossible. He demonstrates the bolt, the bars, the chimney. Then he places the forged suicide note on the blotter. Someone wished us to believe despair, not murder. Suddenly the lamp flickers, a sharp crack. The dummy's temple sprouts a fresh bullet hole. A live round dangles from the chandelier on black thread, triggered by a melting ice block now dripping onto the rug. Chaos. Hugo accuses Reginald. Reginald accuses Hugo. Daphne faints into Dr. Lang's arms. Poirot raises a hand. The murderer reveals their hand and their fear. He plucks the thread. Fishing line cut from the tackle box in the boot room. Footprints appear overnight beneath the study window, leading to the coal chute. The chute is bolted from inside. Poirot smiles. Tomorrow, mes amis, the snow melts, and so will the lies. Chapter 5. Complications and Twists, midnight. The study glows under the green banker's lamp. The tailor's dummy wears a fresh bullet hole like a third eye. Poirot stands behind the desk, voice soft as falling ash. Observe, the revolver dangles on fishing line, triggered by ice. Clever. But the ice was placed hours earlier. By whom? Hugo lunges. Reginald rigged the chandelier. Frame me. Reginald roars back. You climbed the roof, you flying bastard. Daphne collapses. Lang revives her with smelling salts. Sylvia's eyes never leave Reginald. Poirot silences them with a raised finger. 3 impossibilities now. The bolt, the gun, the footprints. He spends the night alone in the study. At 3:07 a.m., a faint click. The bolt slides back by itself. Poirot lights a candle, peers up the chimney. Black thread runs from the bolt up the flue, weighted by a slowly melting icicle wedged in the brickwork. As the ice drips, the thread pulls the bolt. The door was locked after the murderer left. Brilliant. But the footprints? Dawn reveals the coal chute unbolted overnight, inside a second set of prints, smaller, leading out to the snow, then erased by fresh fall. Someone re-entered after the storm eased. Twist 1. The Webley is Hugo's army souvenir, reported stolen in London last month. Hugo pales. Twist 2. The golden hair in the inkwell, tested with Lang's microscope, died. Daphne's is natural. Someone planted a substitute. Twist 3. The gramophone record crack. Time to 11:27, but the billiard room clock runs 4 minutes fast. Actual shot, 11:23. Hugo's solo game collapses. Poirot gathers them in the hall at noon. Snow cascades from the eaves in silver sheets. He lays out the mechanism. But the chandelier shot, Hugo's desperate frame-up during the reenactment, ice blocks smuggled in his pocket. Daphne weeps. I never wanted money, only a name, Sylvia whispers to Reginald. I burned the ribbon for you. He recoils as though slapped. Poirot's voice cuts the air. One mind planned this symphony, but which instrument played the fatal note? He orders the curtain rod dismantled. The Webley tumbles out, oiled, loaded. Hugo's initials scratched inside the grip. Hugo bolts for the door. Mallory cuffs him. The room exhales. Chapter 6. The Revelation Morning. The great hall smells of wet wool and coal smoke. Sunlight spears through the stained glass, fracturing across the parquet like broken promises. Poirot stands before the hearth, 6 objects arranged on the oak table like evidence in a trial. The suspects form a ragged semicircle. Hugo's wrists are raw from cuffs. Daphne's eyes are swollen violets. Sylvia stares at Reginald as though he is already a ghost. Poirot speaks, voice velvet over steel. The crime required precision, oui, but also trust. 3 hands touched this murder, yet only one pulled the trigger. A conspiracy of blood and silence. He lifts the revolver. Captain Hugo Vale. Motive. Revenge for your father, capital for your aeroplanes. You shot Lord Archibald at 11:23, muffled by soap-wrapped velvet, gramophone crack at 11:27, masking the thud. Hugo snarls. Prove it. Poirot smiles. Gladly. The chandelier shot? Hugo's panic during reenactment. Ice block in pocket, thread pre-rigged. Poirot turns to Sylvia. You burned the ribbon for love of Reginald, believing Lady Eleanor would be ruined by scandal. Sylvia nods, tears silent. To Daphne. You wept for a fortune, but your tears bought you innocence. The hair was dyed, Hugo's insurance. Hugo lunges again. Mallory restrains him. Daphne collapses against Dr. Long, whispering, I only wanted grandfather to love me. Poirot's voice softens. Love, greed, betrayal, the eternal trinity. But the little gray cells see order where chaos reigns. He lifts the left-handed glove. Powder residue inside, Hugo's. The curtain rod was oiled yesterday. Machine oil on your cuffs, Captain. Hugo laughs, bitter. Fly too close to the sun, the wings melt. Poirot inclines his head. Exactement. And yours, mon ami, are wax. Chapter 7. Justice served noon. The moor glitters under a weak winter sun. Snow cascades from the eaves in heavy curtains, revealing the world beyond the gates for the first time in days. A distant rumble grows into the growl of engines. 2 snowplows from York, blades flashing like scimitars. Behind them, a black Maria, its black paint stark against the white. In the great hall, the suspects wait like statues in a museum of regret. Hugo stands between 2 constables, wrists cuffed, scar livid against pallor. Daphne sits apart, golden curls limp, staring at the floor as though it might open and swallow her. Sylvia Crane clutches her appointments book one last time. The leather is cracked from nervous fingers. Sir Reginald pours whiskey with a shaking hand. Lady Eleanor watches the door as if expecting rescue. Dr. Lang polishes his spectacles endlessly. Inspector Mallory checks his pocket watch. Poirot enters last, cane tapping a measured farewell. He carries no notes, only certainty. The charges are read aloud by Mallory, voice echoing off the rafters. Hugo laughs once, short, hollow. Flyboys don't do well in cages, Daphne whispers. I only wanted a grandfather. Sylvia says nothing. Her eyes never leave Reginald, who turns away. The true codicil, discovered by Poirot in Lord Archibald's London bank vault via telegram, is upheld. Daphne inherits nothing. The bulk goes to medical charities for war orphans. Sir Reginald retains the title and 50,000, enough to salvage the estate, not enough to save his pride. Lady Eleanor's debts remain her own. Poirot refuses a fee. Sir Reginald produces a cheque anyway, £500 drawn on Coots. Poirot tears it neatly in half, then quarters, letting the pieces flutter into the fire like white moths. Order and method, Sir Reginald. That is payment enough. The prisoners are led out. Hugo pauses at the threshold, wind whipping his coat. You win, little man. But the sky was worth it. Poirot inclines his head. The sky is vast, Captain. Prisons are small. Daphne is taken separately. Juvenile custody, perhaps leniency for her youth. She clutches the lace handkerchief Poirot returns, now washed clean of blackberry stain. Thank you for the truth, she murmurs. Poirot's eyes soften a fraction. Truth is rarely kind, mademoiselle, but it is always just. Sylvia walks last, head high. At the door she turns. Tell Reginald it was real. Lady Eleanor laughs, a sound like shattering ice. Reginald says nothing. The Black Maria crunches away down the cleared drive. Snowhall feels suddenly larger, echoing, with absence. Poirot lingers in the hall. He straightens a crooked portrait. Lord Archibald in his prime, eyes like winter steel. Grimshaw approaches, bearing a silver tray. 1 green chartreuse, Poirot's favorite. Compliments of the house, sir. Poirot accepts with a nod. He raises the glass to the portrait. To the sins of the father and the children who pay. Outside, the Daimler waits. The moor stretches clean and white, secrets buried until the next thaw. Poirot boards cane across his knees. As the car descends the drive, he opens his notebook one final time. The question marks are gone. Chapter 8. Echoes in the thaw. The Daimler has not yet reached the gates when Poirot taps the glass. Stop, s'il vous plaît. The chauffeur brakes. Gravel crunches under tires. Poirot steps out into the crisp afternoon, breath pluming like a dragon's sigh. Snowhall looms behind him, windows blind with reflected sky. He has forgotten nothing. Yet something tugs, a final discord in the symphony. He re-enters alone. The hall is deserted save for Grimshaw, polishing the grandfather clock with monastic devotion. Sir? Poirot raises a finger. One last circuit, mon ami. The little gray cells demand completeness. He begins in the study. The room has been stripped, desk bare, dummy removed, curtain rod dismantled. Only the faint scent of cordite lingers, a ghost of violence. Poirot kneels by the fireplace, runs a gloved finger along the hearth. A single flake of ash, charred ribbon, missed in the sweep. He pockets it. Upstairs, Daphne's room. The bed is unmade, indent of a small body still warm in the mattress. On the dressing table, a child's locket open, inside a miniature of Lord Archibald, young, smiling, arm around a woman who is not Lady Eleanor. Poirot closes it gently. Blood calls to blood, he murmurs. He leaves the locket where it lies. Sylvia's chamber is Spartan. The appointments book lies open to 23rd December, 10 p.m. Codicil. Burn after. The page is torn out, but the impression remains. Poirot traces the ghost letters with a fingernail. Love, he reflects, is the most dangerous motive of all. In the billiard room, the gramophone stands mute. Poirot lifts the cracked record, holds it to the light. The fracture is a lightning bolt frozen mid-strike. He places it back, aligns the needle. Silence. No more bananas. The gunroom yields one final secret. Hugo's aviation goggles hang on a peg, lenses fogged with disuse. Inside the leather strap, a folded note in Daphne's girlish hand. If you must fly, take me with you. Poirot folds it smaller, returns it. Some confessions are not for courts. Down in the kitchen, the cook weeps over sweet pudding. The master loved my figgy dowdy, she sniffs. Poirot accepts a slice, eats standing. Magnifique. A man died, but the pudding lives on. She manages a watery smile. Lady Eleanor finds him in the long gallery. She wears traveling tweeds, a hat with a pheasant feather. Monte Carlo again? Poirot asks. Be artiste this time. Creditors are less persistent. She offers a gloved hand. You were thorough. Poirot bows over it. Madame, thoroughness is the soul of detection. Sir Reginald intercepts him at the foot of the staircase, face bloated, eyes red. I was a fool, Poirot. Thought money would fix everything. He thrusts forward a small velvet box. Inside, a tie pin, emerald to match Poirot's eyes. My father's. Keep it. Poirot closes the box. Some debts cannot be paid with jewels, Sir Reginald. Begin with honesty. Grimshaw waits at the door, holding Poirot's coat. Will you return, sir? Poirot considers the manner, gargoyles now dripping like penitent sinners. Only if another impossible crime demands it. Outside the Daimler idles. The moor stretches vast and clean, snow retreating into the heather like a tide. Poirot pauses on the step. He opens his notebook, adds a final entry. Epilogue. The house is quiet. The snow remembers everything, but memory fades with the thaw. He tears the page, lets it flutter into a puddle where it dissolves like a secret. The car door closes. Snowhall shrinks, vanishes. On the train south, Poirot orders tea, Darjeeling, 2 sugars, lemon. He watches Yorkshire slide past, sheep huddling, rooks wheeling, a world reborn. A telegram awaits at York Station, forwarded from Claridge's. Chapter 9. The train south. The York-London Express steams southward through a landscape scrubbed pale by meltwater. Hercule Poirot occupies a corner seat in the dining car, green chartreuse glowing like a signal lamp. Outside, hedgerows drip, sheep huddle under skeletal oaks. The world exhales winter. He lays his small leather notebook on the white cloth, opens to a fresh page, and writes in neat continental script. Snowhall Manor, postscript. The crime is solved, yet the heart is never tidy. A waiter pours Darjeeling, 2 sugars, slice of lemon. Poirot thanks him in French, then turns to the window. Reflections overlay the view. His own mustache, impeccable. The flicker of gas lamps. The ghost of Hugo Vale's scar. At Doncaster, a porter delivers a telegram on a silver tray. Poirot slits it with a butter knife. Brighton, stop Grand Hotel, stop arsenic in the cocktails. Stop suspect claims locked cabin on midnight train, stop impossible, stop. Jappy Poirot's mustache curls with satisfaction. He wires back en route, stop arrive, 1942, stop reserve oysters, stop HP. He pockets the slip, sips his tea and allows memory to drift. Snowhall returns in fragments. Grimshaw's parchment face as he closed the great door. Daphne's locket, small, gold, heavy with illegitimacy. Sylvia's torn page, burn after. Hugo's goggles, note tucked inside. Take me with you. He sees them all arranged like chess pieces after the game. The train slows for Peterborough. A woman boards, fur stole, veil lifted just enough to reveal cornflower eyes. Daphne's shade. She hesitates, then approaches. Monsieur Poirot? Her voice is steadier than at Snowhall. He rises, bows. Mademoiselle Vale, you are free? Conditional. They let me travel to London with a matron. Juvenile court. She sits opposite, uninvited but not unwelcome. I came to thank you and to ask. She produces a small parcel wrapped in brown paper. From Grimshaw. Said you left it. Poirot unwraps the cracked gramophone record. On the label in Daphne's hand, for the man who heard the silence, he turns it over. The fracture catches the light like a lightning bolt. Keep it, mademoiselle. A souvenir of masks and music. She shakes her head. I never want to hear that tune again. A pause. Will they hang Hugo? Poirot considers. Transportation, perhaps. The skies he loved will be iron bars. The matron hovers. Daphne rises. At the door she turns. Grandfather's locket. Keep it safe? Poirot nods once. She is gone. Veil lowered, swallowed by the corridor. At King's Cross, dusk has fallen violet over the city. Poirot's Daimler waits. The chauffeur loads the single valise. The gramophone record rides in Poirot's coat pocket like a guilty heart. Traffic is light. London smells of coal and wet pavements. At Claridge's, the night porter greets him with relief. Welcome home, sir. Telegram from Inspector Japp. Urgent. Poirot waves it away. Tomorrow, mon ami. Tonight a bath, a tisane, and silence. In his sweet, green velvet cedar scent, he lays out the day's harvest. He places the needle, lowers it gently. Yes, we have no bananas. The crack comes like a gunshot in miniature. He lifts the arm, silences the room. A knock. The valet with hot water and lemon. Poirot dismisses him, then opens the locket. On the back, engraved in tiny script, to my Snowdrop. A.S. 1901 Snowdrop. Daphne's childhood nickname, perhaps. He closes it, slips it into the safe behind the constable print. One final task. He sits at the escritoire, pens a letter on heavy cream stock. Dear Sir Reginald, the tie pin is returned herewith. Wear it in memory of a father who tried too late to right old wrongs. Begin anew. Order and method will serve where money failed. H. Poirot. He seals it with green wax, rings for postage. Then at last the bath, scented with pine, steam curling like more mist. He sinks to the chin, eyes half closed. The little gray cells drift toward Brighton, arsenic cocktails, a locked cabin on a moving train. Another impossibility, another symphony. The telephone rings, Japp, no doubt. Poirot lets it ring. Tomorrow. Chapter 10. The Poisoned Tide. The Brighton Express hisses into Platform 3 at 1942 precisely. Poirot steps down, cane tapping the iron footboard like a conductor's baton. Salt wind whips his coat. Gulls wheel overhead like white punctuation marks. Inspector Japp waits beneath the clock, bowler askew, oysters on ice in a wicker hamper. Poirot, you old devil. Thought the snow had swallowed you. Poirot accepts an oyster, slurps it with continental relish. Snow melts, mon ami. Poison lingers. The Grand Hotel rises along the seafront like a wedding cake left in the rain. In the palm court, palm fronds rustle above white linen and the hush of scandal. The victim, Mrs. Lavinia Beecham, 58, heiress found frothing at the mouth after the midnight cocktail party. Arsenic in her sidecar. The suspect, her nephew, Mr. Felix Beecham, 35, sole heir. His alibi, locked in a first-class compartment on the 0015 to London, door bolted from inside. Ticket collector saw him at 0010, body discovered at 0730. Train never stopped. Impossible. Poirot interviews in the Winter Garden, glass roof dripping with condensation. The train, Bluebell line, no corridors between carriages, windows sealed. Compartment searched at King's Cross, Felix asleep, untouched coffee, no poison. Poirot examines the glass, residue crystalline. He tastes a flake, bitter almond beneath the sugar. Then the impossible detail. The lemon twist is candied, not fresh. Only the barman used fresh. Red herring, the tonic bottle, arsenic but sealed, prescription intact. Clue, a drop of wax on the compartment carpet, green, matching the palm court candles. Poirot gathers them on the pier at dusk. Waves crash below like applause. He produces a candied lemon peel from his pocket. The poison was in the twist prepared hours earlier, swapped during the powder room visit. Miss Wren passed the glass, but Captain Merrick candied the peel in the kitchen coated with arsenic paste. He signaled Felix via the window as the train slowed for the viaduct. Felix unbolted, caught the peel on a string, dropped it into the coffee, rebolted. The train never stopped, but the window opened for 3 seconds. Merrick bolts along the pier. Jap cuffs him against the railings, gulls screaming overhead. Felix weeps. Relief, not guilt. Clara confesses the swap for love of Felix. Dr. Harrow is innocent, tonic untouched. Justice. Merrick to the gallows, Clara transportation, Felix free but penniless. The will stands, charity. Poirot refuses the oysters Jap offers in triumph. Order and method, mon ami. The tide waits for no one. He walks the promenade alone. The sea is gunmetal, the pier lights flickering on like hesitant stars. He opens the locket from Snowhall, snowdrop engraved, closes it, slips it into the waves. A small splash, swallowed by the tide.